Namaskar, friends. So, we have been discussing about the soul in the last two videos, and this is the third video. We are further going to discuss more characteristics of this soul. Yatha sargatam sakshamyadakasham noplipyate sarvatra avasthito dehe tathatma noplipyate. In this, Bhagavan Krishna is saying that just like space, for example, we have a vacuum over here. Now, that vacuum, that space, you cannot paint it, you cannot make it wet, you cannot dirty it, or you cannot even make it look better by putting some ornaments on it. So, it is Bhagavan Krishna is saying that just like that space, you cannot sully it in any manner. Similarly, this soul, you cannot sully the soul in any way. For example, you can say this atmosphere where we have all this oxygen, all these gases. This can be sullied by, say, introduction of pollution or unhealthy gases. Similarly, we have water. It can be dirtied by putting in poisonous materials or chemicals. It can be made even sweet by putting sugar in it. Or we have a solid, you can paint it or color it. But unlike any of these, with the soul, you cannot do any of these things. Okay, so the soul remains pure forever. Okay, this is a very, very important fact that you will realize at a later stage. Okay, this is a very important fact about the soul. So we go on to the next verse. Yatha prakashatekab kitsanam logmimam ravi shetam shetri tatha krishnanam prakashyati bharat. O Arjun, O Bharat, just like the sun is lighting up this entire world, similarly the soul is lighting up the physical body of a living being. So the physical body is dead, but only when the soul enters it, the physical body becomes conscious and becomes active. So this is what Bhagavan Krishna is trying to tell in this verse. Now the next verses are very, very important, which you must try to understand. Mame vancho जीव लोके जीव भूत सनातना मनाशस्थानी इंद्रियाणि प्रगति स्थानी कर्षति शरीरं यद्वाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरा गृहीत वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गंधानि वाशयात्. Now both of these verses are very important. The first verse says that in this world the soul in the form of living being is my small eternal part. Friends, you have to understand that we are discussing about the soul which is residing inside the physical body of all the living beings. And that soul is a small eternal part of Bhagavan Krishna. So inside every living being, the soul that is residing, it is it is a fraction of the God Almighty. This is the fifth realization that all the readers must have, that inside all living beings, the souls that are residing, they are fractions of God Almighty. In this verse, Bhagavan also says that this soul draws to itself the mind and the five senses. Means this soul takes up the mind. What is mind? Mind is intelligence, memory. That is the mind. So all the intelligence and memory, where is it? It is in the soul and the five senses also. They also reside in the soul. Now, in the next paragraph, in the next verse, शरीरं यद् वाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामति ईश्वरा गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि भाषया. This is also very important. Here Bhagavan Krishna is saying that just like air picks up the scent from the place of the scent, like for example, a flower has some scent in it. So just like air picks up the scent of the flower from the flower, similarly, the soul, when it leaves a physical body, it picks up the intelligence and mind and memory from that body. So here, with this verse, it is clarified that it is the soul which is the carrier of your intelligence and memory and all associated functions. So, this will go a very long way in understanding your life. This is one of the most important things which you must understand about your own life. That in last two verses, that first of all, the soul that is residing inside you is a small fraction of God Almighty. And when the soul leaves a body at the time of its death, at that time it carries away all the intelligence and memory with it to the next body where it is going. So this clarifies how we are able to remember our previous life incidences. This is clarified in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now we go to the next verse. Shrotam chakshu sparshanam cha rasnam ghamev cha adhishthaya manakshayam vishayanupsevate. So when the soul takes up a body, it takes the mind, the intelligence and memories are already with it. And since it is also lighting up the body, we have seen in the previous verses, the soul, it is the soul that experiences the world through hearing, watching, touch, tasting, and smelling. Okay, so it is not the body, it is the soul which is experiencing the world. Utkramantam sitam vapi gunjanam ya guranvitam vimura nanu pashyanti gyan chakshusha. Here Bhagavan Krishna is saying that the average people, with whatever qualities are there in them, they do not see the soul leaving a body or entering a physical body. Only those people whose inner self is cleansed, whose inner self is cleaned up, they develop a divine vision and they can see the soul with their divine eyes. Okay, so see, average people, they are not able to realize the presence of the soul in the body. But the people who have cleansed their inner self, how you can clean your inner self, we'll come to that in later videos. Whose inner self is cleaned up, they can sense the presence of soul inside them. Yatanto yoginaschayanam pashantya manyeva sthitam yatanto apyakritatmano nanam pashantya chetsa. Here again, Bhagwan Krishna is clarifying the same thing, that those who try, the yogis, they experience this part of the God, the soul, within themselves. Only the persons who are trying, they can see the soul inside them. But those who have not purified their inner self, even if they try, they cannot experience the soul. This verse is very important, that only the persons who try and who have purified their inner self, only they may see the soul inside them, but the other people who have not purified their inner self, even if they try, they will not see the soul inside them. Now, in these two videos, we have seen almost all the important characteristics of the soul. There are many more verses about the soul which are there in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but we cannot all of take up all of them here. So in these two videos, I have tried to explain to you the importance of the soul, and that soul is your real self. Now, what all have we learned about the soul? That firstly, it is immortal. Secondly, you cannot sully the soul. You cannot, it remains pure. Even if it resides in your body, the soul itself will remain pure. You cannot cut it, you cannot wet it, you cannot dry it, you cannot burn it. And it is the soul that is making your body live. And then, very important, that this soul is a small fraction of God Almighty, which is present in every living being, every plant, every insect, every bird, every animal that you very happily cut and eat. That is one of the reasons why Hindus refrain from killing innocent living beings. And the next very important, that this soul is the carrier of intelligence and all the memory, the mind and the senses. And the last very important thing, that only those people who have cleaned their inner self, they can feel the presence of the soul inside them. Even after cleaning the inner self, you have to try. Only then you will be able to feel that soul inside you. So the next video we are going to will discuss about reincarnation. Okay, this is further clarified that it is the same soul, which is immortal. It goes from one body to another, to another, to another, in an endless cycle of birth and death and birth and death.